The crisis in Yemen truly began in 1990 with the unification of the Yemen Arab Republic in the north and the People's Democratic Republic of Yemen in the south to form the Republic of Yemen. These two groups soon entered a time of unrest as tensions grew over political and economic marginalization under the united government. This tension resulted in an unsuccessful civil war that attempted to undo the unification of 1990. Outright fighting between the North and South stopped for several years, but the unrest lingered throughout the country. Now fighting between supporters of the unified government with President Hadi at the head and the rebel group Houthi has plunged the entire country into war, leaving millions of people homeless and food insecure. The rebel group Houthi is named after the original leader, Badr al-Din al-Houthi. Their uprisings began in 2004 when al-Houthi attempted to gain greater autonomy for his homeland in the Sana'a province, to protect their culture, and to protect their branch of Shia Islam, called Zaydism, from the influence of Sunni Islam practiced in most of Yemen. Conflict between the Houthi group and the government was intensified after al-Houthi was killed by the Yemeni military in late 2004. His family's supporters launched a campaign of 5 uprisings, gaining support with each one. In 2010, the Houthis agreed to a ceasefire with the government, but in 2011 joined with protests against the president at the time, Saleh, and used the subsequent power vacuum to expand their territorial control. Since then, the Houthi have gained almost complete control of the government, forcing President Hadi to flee the capital in Sana'a and set up temporary headquarters in Aden in southern Yemen, leaving the military divided between the two groups. In 2014, President Hadi and the Houthi group attended the National Dialogue Conference, where Hadi announced his 6-region plan, which would provide the Houthi with more of the freedom they seek. However, the Houthi opposed this plan as it would result in a loss of much of the territory they have gained through rebellion. The conflict between these two groups has been greatly complicated by, and becomes increasingly more violent, with the presence of Islamic extremist groups Al-Qaeda of the Arabian Peninsula, as well as Islamic State ISIS. Both ISIS and Al-Qaeda have religious conflicts with the Yemeni people, as the Shia minority in government is ruling over the Sunni majority. ISIS has further conflict as the resistance of the Yemeni people hinders their goal in achieving a unified Islamic state practicing Sharia law. ISIS also wages war against Al-Qaeda of the Arabian Peninsula as competition between the two groups increases. ISIS is currently recruiting followers in Yemen, and altercations between the groups become increasingly violent. However, Al-Qaeda remains the prominent force. Similarly to the goals of ISIS, Al-Qaeda seeks the formation of a unified Islamic State rather than smaller individual nations, giving them initiative to further conflict in Yemen in order to facilitate their takeover. Al-Qaeda also blames the Western world, and specifically the United States, for hostilities, including the war in Iraq and Afghanistan, against Islam. With all this fighting and internal struggle, you might be wondering, why is the crisis in Yemen a crisis and not simply a civil war? How is this affecting other people? Well, for starters, Yemen is strategically important to the economy of several nations, such as Egypt and Saudi Arabia, due to its position along the Bab al-Mandab Strait, which is highly important for the large shipments of oil that support the economy of these nations. The leaders of these countries fear that with the fall of the established government, their ability to have safe passage through the strait will be jeopardized, and subsequently their economy will disintegrate. The conflict becomes more global as Iraq and Saudi Arabia are thought to be supporting opposing sides of the conflict, playing out their own power struggle by allowing the people of Yemen to do their fighting. While these impacts are important, the most worry is directed towards the role of the Al-Qaeda of the Arabian Peninsula, as they are thought to be the most dangerous branch of Al-Qaeda because of their technical expertise and global outreach. In fear of the growing strength of the Al-Qaeda of the Arabian Peninsula, the United States has been conducting drone strikes and other operations against Al-Qaeda to weaken their stronghold and protect the West. International security is a driving factor in global incorporation in the crisis of Yemen. However, missionary aid is another important factor. The longer fighting continues in Yemen, conditions continue to deteriorate, leaving more than 10 million people without jobs, housing, medical care, or food, and malnutrition rates have risen to be the second highest in the world, increasing the need for humanitarian aid. What started as a simple civil war in Yemen has escalated out of control, drawing the world population into the struggle of the Yemeni people.